For years, viewers have believed they knew Savannah Guthrie, the polished journalist who greets millions each morning on Today. Her calm voice, sharp interviews, and warm personality made her a trusted face in American homes. She has spoken openly about career struggles, motherhood, and personal heartbreak. Yet behind the carefully built image of composure and professionalism, a far more complicated story may have been quietly unfolding for decades. When her mother's sudden disappearance rocked her family in early 2026, long-buried secrets allegedly resurfaced, secrets that could reshape everything people thought they understood about Savannah's life. The disappearance that started it all. The mystery began on February 10th, 2026, when Savannah's mother, Nancy Guthrie, vanished from her home in Tucson. The quiet desert neighborhood quickly turned into a hub of police activity. Yellow crime scene tape surrounded the ranch-style house in the foothills, while volunteers and law enforcement searched nearby desert terrain. Investigators reportedly discovered troubling clues: a bloodstain on the porch, a silent medical pacemaker, and a deadline tied to a cryptic digital ransom demand. As days passed with no answers, anxiety grew among family members and authorities alike. A family under pressure. Inside a temporary command center set up near Nancy's home, Savannah worked alongside her siblings, Annie and Cameron. Detectives from the Pima County Sheriff's Department and agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation coordinated search efforts. Drones scanned the desert while volunteers walked miles of rough terrain. Each passing hour intensified the fear that time was running out. Nancy, 84 years old and dependent on medication and a walker, would not survive long without assistance. For Savannah, the situation felt surreal, an unimaginable crisis unfolding far from the studio lights and teleprompters. The unexpected phone call. Everything changed on the 10th day. Around 8:45 a.m., Savannah stepped outside to answer what she assumed was another call from investigators. Instead, the voice belonged to a woman who introduced herself as Elena. The name immediately triggered memories Savannah had buried for decades. According to accounts from people nearby, the conversation was tense and urgent. Elena claimed that Nancy's disappearance was connected to something from Savannah's past, something hidden for 30 years. She spoke with unsettling confidence, referencing personal details only someone close to Savannah long ago could possibly know. A name from the past. The name Elena carried emotional weight. Savannah had reportedly not heard it spoken publicly since the late 1980s. The call forced her to confront a part of her life she had deliberately left behind while building a high-profile career in journalism. After ending the conversation, Savannah gathered her siblings privately and revealed the truth she had kept secret for most of her adult life. The story reached back to her teenage years in Tucson, long before her law career, long before national television, and long before she became one of the most recognizable journalists in America. Growing up under expectations. Savannah was born in 1971 and raised in Tucson, where her family lived an ordinary life shaped by strong values. When her father died suddenly from a heart attack, Nancy became the pillar holding the family together. She pushed her children to succeed academically and personally. Savannah excelled in school, winning debate competitions and preparing for college at the University of Arizona. Yet the expectations placed on her created an intense pressure to appear strong, disciplined, and emotionally controlled. That pressure would shape many choices she made during her formative years. Meeting Elena Ramirez. During high school, Savannah reportedly encountered Elena Ramirez, a charismatic artist and activist a few years older than her. Elena ran a small underground youth community in Tucson that welcomed teenagers exploring their identities away from judgment or criticism. At the time, conservative social attitudes made such gatherings controversial. Curious and searching for independence, Savannah attended one of these meetings in 1988 after seeing a flyer at school. Elena's confidence and creativity captivated her. The two formed a friendship that soon deepened into something more meaningful. A hidden relationship. For Savannah, the relationship had to remain completely secret. Her mother's strict expectations and the social climate of the late 1980s made openness impossible. The young women met quietly in parks, art studios, and small gatherings within Tucson's underground creative scene. Those moments offered Savannah freedom from the pressure of being the perfect daughter. Yet the secrecy weighed heavily on her. As college approached and her ambitions grew clearer, she feared the truth could destroy the carefully constructed life she hoped to build. Leaving the past behind. Eventually, Savannah moved forward with her education and career. She pursued law, then journalism, steadily climbing the professional ladder. Over time, she became a national figure, eventually joining NBC and later co-anchoring The Today Show. The life she created seemed worlds away from the rebellious teenager once known simply as Clark. Meanwhile, contact with Elena faded. Letters stopped. Phone numbers changed. What remained were only memories and a few photographs, artifacts of a chapter Savannah believed had been permanently closed. A reunion decades later. The phone call shattered that illusion. Within a day, Elena traveled to Tucson and met Savannah again after 30 years. The reunion was emotional, filled with memories and unanswered questions. Elena provided investigators with old photographs, letters, and a handwritten list of names connected to activist circles from their youth. One name stood out: Ricky Torres. Authorities discovered that someone matching that name had recently appeared in local records near Nancy's neighborhood. It wasn't proof of anything yet, but it offered investigators their first potential lead in days. A new thread in the investigation law enforcement quickly began examining Ricky Torres's background and connections. Neighbors reported seeing a man resembling him near Nancy's home weeks before she disappeared. If the connection proved real, it could suggest the kidnapping might be linked to old personal conflicts rather than a random crime. Investigators explored whether past activism or personal relationships might have created enemies decades earlier. For Savannah, the possibility that her hidden past might endanger her mother was almost unbearable. Facing the truth. That evening, Savannah stood outside beneath the desert sky with Elena beside her. For the first time in decades, she allowed herself to acknowledge the part of her identity she had kept hidden. The experience was painful, but also strangely freeing. She realized she could no longer live entirely behind the carefully polished image that had defined her career. Whether the past truly connected to her mother's disappearance or not, the secrets she had carried for 30 years were now impossible to ignore. Conclusion. A mystery still unfolding. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance remains a troubling mystery, and investigators continue searching for answers. The resurfacing of Savannah's hidden past has added an unexpected and deeply personal dimension to the case. Whether old grudges, forgotten relationships, or entirely different motives are responsible is still unclear. What is certain is that the crisis has forced Savannah to confront a part of herself she once believed would stay buried forever. As the investigation continues, one question remains. Will uncovering the truth about the past help bring Nancy home, or reveal even deeper secrets waiting to emerge?